Well, Egypt's interim government issued a stern warning to the thousands of supporters of former President Mohamed Morsi staging sit-in protests in Cairo. The interim Prime Minister says they will be forced out, but those threats are being ignored. I understand we're saying, just got one confirmation, we're not looking at live pictures here, right? No, this from Thursday. Thousands of pro-Morsi supporters in Cairo. Crowds have been camped out in two public squares demanding Morsi be reinstated.
Whole families, young and old, say they won't be moved, defying the interim government. Even after 5 weeks, the makeshift camp in the middle of a main road in Cairo is still home to thousands demanding the reinstatement of the ousted Muslim Brotherhood president, Mohamed Morsi. The Brotherhood called for his release from jail without success as talks broke down. And now the interim Egyptian government, backed by the military, has said the camps will have to be dispersed, although it's not clear when or how. The last confrontation with the security forces proved bloody. Hundreds have died over the past weeks, including 80 protesters killed in one incident.
We have given a chance to all diplomatic efforts to resolve the current issues in Egypt, and we gave enough space and exerted all efforts for the sake of stopping violence and bloodshed and returning to normality. The train of the future has left the station, and anyone who stays behind has to take responsibility for their decision.
The military-appointed government says it will dismantle these protest camps. The United States and European Union are worried about what happens next.
With the failure of envoys from the United States, the European Union, Qatar and the United Arab Emirates to break the stalemate, there are now fears of further violent confrontations. Nearly 300 people have already been killed since Morsi was toppled. Viewing the protest camps in daylight, it's obvious barricades have been built. Now the holy month of Ramadan has ended, the Muslim Brotherhood appears to be preparing for battle.
A senior leader of the Muslim Brotherhood told NHK the world is aware the government was installed through a military coup. Mohammed El-Beltaghi said there can be no dialogue until Morsi returns to the presidency. The Brotherhood is calling for another round of major demonstrations on Thursday when a festival begins to celebrate the end of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. Observers say more clashes could erupt. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry and EU Foreign Policy Chief Kathleen Ashton have released a joint statement expressing concern about the Egypt crisis. The statement says they are troubled that the government and opposition have not found a way to break the dangerous stalemate. But Kerry and Ashton also say they remain ready to help in any way they can.
The US administration has refrained from coming out and calling Morsi's removal by the army a coup. If they did, then they'd have to stop the $1.5 billion in military aid the US gives to Egypt every year. And that aid gives the US some leverage here, something that's not accepted by everyone.
This is my country, this is my internal affairs. I don't think they should interfere. This is not a coup, this is us, the people. Okay, and if they don't like it, if they want to just cut the aid, they can cut the aid.
The view that the US is not an honest broker is also shared by the rebel campaign that sparked the protests that led to Morsi's ouster. They refuse to meet any of the US mediators, as they say they're siding with the Muslim Brotherhood.
Who are you negotiating with? Are you negotiating with the terrorist group? How can you allow the American state to negotiate on Egyptian soil? The whole world can see that they have terrorist groups and gangs.
Egypt is now bracing for another bloody confrontation between the security forces and the supporters of the ousted president. The authorities are saying they'll break up the pro-Morsi sit-ins imminently.